Hey Disney friends, it's Amber with Mickey Travels. Today I want to go over kind of the process that people take when they're planning out each of their Walt Disney World days. First off, are you really feeling my Ally Sheedy vibe right now? Digging it. So what I've got are 5 steps that you can do to pre-plan what you're going to be doing each day while at Walt Disney World. So I've got a chart here. I usually use just a Word document. I have clients that use Excel spreadsheets, like they make their own and it's super detailed. Here's an example of one. Here's one that one of my clients made and gave to me, very extensive. But some of the time it's not necessary to have that extensive of plans since Disney is full digital and you can find everything online or on your app. These are more like the pre-planning steps for you to visualize what to be doing each day, and then eventually it'll all be digitized so that you can see it all on the app. All right, so I hope you enjoy this video on 5 steps to pre-planning all of your Disney park days. Stay tuned.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
I'm a very organized person. I write down things on paper. Sometimes I don't prefer the digital version of things. So I get how some people like to handwrite and have their plans out. For this case, though, I am going to have typed over here easy ways to have those planned out and very quick. And with Disney, it's really difficult to pinpoint times on things because you do have really expanded dates that you have to think about when you're going to be doing this stuff. For example, dining is 180 days in advance. Fastpasses are 60. So you can't just assume you're going to get that 9 a.m. Fastpass for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train on a particular day because it just depends on availability. So the way I'm going to show you is to kind of make the plans really flexible so that you don't have to sit there and pinpoint your minute by minute because it's going to almost be impossible until after your fast passes are made for you to have that minute by minute schedule. Okay, so step 1 is I have determine how many park days you're going to want. So I just finished a video on what to do on your rest day because many people, if they go for a full week, will actually have a day in the middle where they're not doing any parks and they want to rest. So you need to decide if that is something you'll want to do. If it's your first time visiting, maybe you want to do as much as possible, or it could also be that you're probably not going to be going again. I do get a lot of people emailing me saying it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. We want to do it all. We don't have time to rest. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and plan a rest day. So here I've got a table I made. I just used a Word document here. And if you don't have Microsoft Word on any of your devices, Google has the free services where you can do a Google Doc and you can have that. And then you can also share it with everyone that's going on vacation with you. Okay, so I've got 7 days here. I've got 7 days here on my chart. And just because of how my schedule is, I'm going to assume I'm flying in on a Sunday or a Saturday. You might want to wait and see when you want to fly in based on airfare. So that's something to look into as well. But we're just going to go ahead and say we're coming in on a Sunday. The thing I hate most about these Alex and Annie bracelets are that I can't type on my laptop when I wear them. I mean, they are super cute and I love them. I just can't ever wear them when I'm working. Okay, so we're gonna say Sunday. All right, so in your case, you would actually probably put the month and day, etc., but I'm just gonna do days with the weeks here. Okay, so like I said, I know I want to do a day in the middle where I'm going to take a break. So in this case, since I'm coming in a Sunday, leaving on a Saturday, Wednesday would be essential for that. Just depends on how many days you're going to Disney World. That could be like if you're coming in on a Tuesday and then leave on a Saturday, then maybe Thursday you want a break in between the 2 days. So I'm going to just put break day here in the middle and know that I don't need to schedule any park things for that day. I might plan a dining reservation. Just depends on what my family wants to do. Okay, so now here I have my arrival and departure day and then other park days. So do I want to go to the parks on my arrival or departure day? From someone who's done this for a while, my suggestion to you would be to save your arrival and departure day just for that. Don't anticipate going to a park. Now, some people drive, and that's fine. If you think you'll get in early and want to spend the day at the park, that's great. For those of you that fly, It is a pretty long process, and it can end up being a really long day because it does take you a bit to get from the airport to the resort, and then you have to rush around, etc. Now, personally, we do try to get there about mid-afternoon, and we might do a dining reservation in a park, but we're not necessarily planning a park day on our arrival or departure. Okay, so we have decided here that since we're doing a break day, we're going to do 4 days in the parks, with arrival and departure being non-park days as well. So I'm going to put that on my little chart. All right, so step 2, now we need to decide which day we're going to which park. And so to do that, we're going to view the park hours. All right, if you go to the Disney World website, the park hours are listed almost up to 6 months in advance. They might be a little short of that 180 mark, which is your dining date, but it's pretty close and accurate. So I just randomly typed in July 12th because that's our wedding anniversary. So it's a dream. Maybe we can be there in July. We'll see. So if you go there, it'll actually show you for each park what the hours are. So for Magic Kingdom, for that whole, well, up until Thursday, and if you want to just, you can shift it over a few days, just with the arrows there. Since we're not going to a park on that day, these are our park days. So we can see it does list when they're open and closed for the whole week, what days they're doing extra magic hours and what times. It also gives me the parade times, fireworks times too. All right, so because we are just doing 4 parks, we're going to do a base ticket. We're going to do 1 park per day. So I'm going to decide here what would be the best. All right, so here's where some of my advice comes in. Most people tend to arrive at Disney World on Sundays, Saturdays or Sundays. So Sunday and Monday are typically very crowded for Magic Kingdom, since that's the park most people want to go to. So we are going to avoid Magic Kingdom on Mondays, just in general. 2, something else to consider, is you need to note when there are extra magic hours or events planned for the parks. So extra magic hours are a perk if you stay on property. A lot of people like to utilize them. But they are going to be a very crowded park because they are offering park hours that are extra. So people that are on property feel I should go to this park because they're giving this to me. So they are more crowded on that day. The only extra magic hours that my husband and I utilize are the evening ones. And in this case, it's on a Wednesday. So since we are planning that as a break day, we aren't going to utilize extra magic hours for Magic Kingdom. All right, so we are going to either do Tuesday or Thursday for Magic Kingdom. Going down to Epcot, their extra magic hours are Tuesday or Thursday, so that's fine there. So we will probably do Epcot on Monday or Friday. And then Hollywood Studios, they don't really have any events extra here. They don't even have extra magic hours listed. That will change, I'm assuming, once they get closer, because it just depends on what they're going to be doing with Rise of the Resistance. They weren't offering extra magic hours with that virtual queue that they're doing. So maybe that'll change by the time we get to July. I know a lot of things are up in the air right now, but we're just trying to be optimistic and plan trips that hopefully will happen. Okay, and then Mondays are extra magic hours for Animal Kingdom. So, based on all this, here are my plans. Okay, so again, I was avoiding extra magic hours, so here are the days that I've decided to do each park, just based on park hours. Now, the next step is going to be crowd calendars. This is something I've got as an option to view. Some are accurate, some are not. And if you don't know what a crowd calendar is, it is a website that takes like on a scale or maybe a color ranking and gives you how crowded each park will be based on past attendance. So obviously holidays are going to be really crowded, Christmas especially. Weekends are going to be higher, Easter, things like that. Now, with the way that things are changing, and with Disney being closed for a few months, it feels like, we don't know what Disney parks are going to look like. So crowd calendars, I don't think, are going to be useful for the next year, if not longer, because we just don't know. I can tell you, based on looking at availability for later in the year, in like November and December, I've had a really difficult time finding rooms for people at certain resorts. So that makes me think it's going to be very crowded. And then we've also seen Fastpasses are very limited, so we don't know if that's because of crowds in June or if that's because Disney's going to be limited in anyway. So I don't think crowd calendars are going to be essential for a little bit, but I am going to show you what those look like. I don't really have a particular one. I have in the past told you some, Kenny the Pirate, my favorite Grampy, etc. But I don't use one in particular. A lot of people like to pay for the touring plan subscription and they use that. So that's what I'm going to show you what those look like really quick. Here's an example of what the touring plans crowd calendar looks like. It does a overall scale. So this is a 3-day, and then it does each park on a number of 1 to 10 how crowded it is, and even specifically like in the times, exactly when they would be the most crowded. So again, this is for an April date, which is going to be inaccurate because they haven't opened yet, and they anticipate if they do open at the end of April, maybe it won't be crowded, but they do have all of these available if you do have a subscription to them. There are free ones out there, you just need to Google. Just depends on whether or not you're going to feel that they're accurate at this point in time. So I'm just going to go with what I have and not use a crowd calendar at this time. So number 4 under dining reservations, I'm going to say, first and foremost, do not pick your dining reservations based on where you're going to be first. Pick out your favorites, and then we'll puzzle piece everything together. So what I'm going to do now is, at the bottom of this, list some of my personal favorites and or ones I book often for clients, and then we're going to try to piece them in really quick. Okay, so here are some of the more popular locations and or ones that we tend to do every trip for this example. So I didn't consider what parks we were going to be in at this point. I just picked out my favorites. So now I can decide which one I'm going to try to do for each day based on where they're at. Okay, so over here on my list, I do have 3 that are located in parks. So I'm going to go ahead and in my column here, actually, I have these in the wrong one. Hold on. So my second column is going to be where I'm going to put my dining reservations. I'm not putting in times here just for the sake of showing you. So I know Sci-Fi is at Hollywood, so we're going to try a dinner or lunch for that. And Liberty Tree is in Magic Kingdom, so that one's good. And then Yak and Yeti is in Animal Kingdom, so we're going here for that. So usually we're on the dining plan, and in this case I have the exact amount of credits that I would have had if I was staying for the 6 nights. So this worked out perfectly. I picked out just the amount of locations, because California Grill is worth 2. Now I need to decide if I'm going to do, or want to do, something on my arrival night, or my break night, or go ahead and do one on Epcot, since it's not, either of these are not at Epcot. So based on location, Ohana's at the Polynesian, and California Grill's at the Contemporary, which isn't necessarily close to Epcot. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do California Grill on our break day, and then Ohana on our arrival night. But I know already that Ohana is the most difficult reservation for me to get, so my backup plan, if I can't get Ohana on arrival, which more than likely I won't, I'm going to go ahead and put it here, because it will be easier for me to get that reservation later in the trip. Okay, some other tips I have with the dining reservations. Try to strategize your dining like I did here, where you avoid transportation headaches. For example, don't just all willy-nilly try to find all resort restaurants like Cape May Cafe on your Magic Kingdom day. Try your best to pick reservations within close proximity. So if you did choose something in a resort, make sure if you're doing that on a park day, it's one that's close to that resort. For example, Magic Kingdom has monorail access that can take you to the Contemporary, the Grand Floridian, or the Poly. So it would just make sense on a Magic Kingdom day, if you're not eating in the park, to put a monorail reservation on a Magic Kingdom day. Epcot also has a monorail, so it is just a hop, skip, and a jump to also get to those resorts on Epcot. But Epcot's also close by ferry or by walking to Beach Club and Boardwalk and the Yacht Club, so if you have a reservation there. If you're wanting to dine in Animal Kingdom Lodge, make sure you are doing an Animal Kingdom that day. It's not required, I'm just trying to give you advice on making it as easy as possible to get back and forth if you're dining outside the parks. Even if you have park hopper tickets, if you're a seasoned vet, etc., still try to make dining reservations inside the park for the park that is going to be the main thing you do that day. So if you are going to be in Magic Kingdom all morning and afternoon and then want to have dinner elsewhere, that's fine. I would just stick to having dinner in the place you're going to be in the park the longest. Dinner reservations sometimes take a little while. So if you are going to another park just to eat, it's going to take up most of your evening. So you might as well dine while you're going to be there for a while. Some people do the opposite. They say they don't want to waste any of their park time at all for meals, and that's when they have their dinners late at night. It's not a park thing. So there's two ways to look at it, but in my case, it's just easier for planning to go ahead and plan for meals for the parks you're going to be spending the most time in that day. Okay, so lastly, we're going to do Fastpasses. This is something that you make 60 days out if you're staying on property, 30 days out if you're not staying on property. And so the first thing you need to do is pick your favorites and then pick a time range. Don't specifically say, I want a 10 a.m. fast pass for this, etc. Pick a range. So I would say you want morning to mid-afternoon, you want all afternoon, or you want late evening to evening for your fast pass times. Okay, so I'm going to go in and fill out what my 3 choices for fast passes would be for each day really quick. Okay, so I've made my choices for each that were favorites for our whole family. And so when I go in to make those, I'm just going to try my best to stick with a time frame instead of trying to go all over the place. So here's some things you'll need to consider with that. 1, make sure you have your dining reservation time listed in your chart if you're doing it that way, so you know not to plan a fast pass at that time. The app or the website will tell you if you have a dining reservation close to any of your fast passes. Allow about an hour to an hour and a half for dining. 2, Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom are pretty spread out as far as attractions. Looking at your choices, try to make sure that the ones that are closer together have closer times. So here we have under Magic Kingdom, Big Thunder and Splash, which are right next to each other. So I would try to make sure that those times are right next to each other. So like afternoon, because I don't want to be wet all day. It'll be like right before I take our afternoon break. So I would do Big Thunder maybe from 1 to 2 and Splash from 2 to 3. Epcot and Hollywood is a little easier and not necessary for you to try to plan things really close together. Most of the stuff's really easy to walk to. Okay, so these are my 5 tips when picking out your days and what you're going to be doing each day. So 1, determine how many days you're going to want in the parks and what you want to do each day. 2, view the park hours. Determine based on the park hours if you want to avoid events, avoid extra magic hours, and tips such as don't do Magic Kingdom on Sundays or Mondays, avoid Epcot on weekends when it's Food and Wine Festival, avoid Hollywood Studios on weekends in general because of Star Wars being a big deal. And if you need to switch your parks around because dining reservations got all messed up and say you couldn't find a sci-fi on Monday like we have here, and I could only find it on Thursday, then I'll flip-flop my Hollywood and Animal Kingdom day. No big deal, just be flexible. 3, decide if crowd calendars are for you and if they are necessary. 4, pick your dining reservations. Pick out your favorites without deciding which ones are in which parks, and then determine and strategize in puzzle piece to see if they're going to fit your schedule or if you have to switch and pick something else. And 5, fast passes. Pick out your favorites no matter where they're located. Decide a very broad time range, and then don't worry necessarily through Epcot and Hollywood about having things so close together. Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom do try to strategize to keep things close. Okay, so some of my clients don't really have any kinds of plans. A lot of people do send me this, or they'll just send me things one at a time. But this, I hope, is helpful for you when just trying to visualize your plans. Not necessary, but if you're a planner and organized like I am, these are the 5 steps I usually use and encourage my clients to use. If you're interested in using my services on your next trip so I can walk you through the whole process, please contact me. My information's below. My services are free. I'd love to work with you. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what questions you have or if you need any other advice based on what I've talked about today. Have a magical day. Bye.